Yeah, I think the composition has a place in the meta for sure. It's like you're essentially playing Rogue Mage Druid, but your mage is harder to kill.
Much harder.
Way harder. Like.
What do you lose? What do you lose by not having the mage? Like that's
spammable polymorph.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing.
But the problem is when
you don't win with spammable polymorph.
Exactly.
Though. That's the thing. Like the way Rogue Mage plays now, they just stall out the game forever, and then they get drinks, and then you win. But now you lose the liability of having a Frost Mage who eventually dies to an Ellie who doesn't die. But I guess you lose some of that control that the Frost Mage would bring to those rings.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that these Restoration Druids can't use Cyclone as often to free up these mages. So having an Elemental Shaman that can keep himself alive and sustain a lot longer without needing those Cyclones seems like it makes a lot of sense, and I think ABC was really smart to bring that out.
Now we are going to see Change My Mind not changing their mind. They're going to stick to the Frost Mage paired up with the Rogue. And then on the side of Octogone, we are going to get to see that Ellie Warlock yet again. 61% of you think that Change My Mind will take it. Octogone, a new challenger in the arena, but they are going to try to step it up, and they're going to try to prove 39% of you wrong.
I was really happy to see Empire's performance in the series earlier today. He's definitely showing that he's a top dog on that Elemental Shaman, but going head-to-head with Change My Mind on Rogue Mage is going to be a test that he may not be prepared to pass. Sap on Empire, they are looking for Leanne in stealth. Eritros activates Infernals as his first global cooldown, maybe getting a little bit ahead of himself there.
I actually like it. I don't mind trying to deny the Rogue Mage setup, at least initially. Although the problem is, Change My Mind really didn't commit too much in that opener, so they didn't have to run away. It's not like they used Icy Veins and then had to run, or Vendetta and have to run. They really aren't getting counter pressured that much. Acro right now caught into the bash, a little bit of pressure, as Empire does seem to be the main target of choice for Change My Mind, putting out a little damage there, but ultimately he will survive.
Yep, both teams stable here in the initial stages, and even though the Infernals ended up whiffing, they did at least zone out the team of Change My Mind, as you were trying to point out, and that's very important against a Rogue Mage. Now Acro getting counter-pressured, Lightning Lasso, Empire sneaks around the corner, they fear Fried Kitty to deny any sort of counter-spell denial. Minpoike trades equivalently with that Iron Bark and stays in the fight. Minpoike now jumping on top of Leanne to engage some crowd control. Eritros deflects it away for now. Eritros with great defense there. Mortal Coil denied Fried Kitty, Fear denied Minpoike. Octogone definitely showing that they're a top caliber team.
Definitely Change My Mind. Main target in this matchup so far is Empire. I think if the game does go on late enough, Eritros becomes a decent target for the Assassination Rogue. And I think that's definitely a strategy change that Change My Mind can implement a little bit later on in the game. But for now, Eritros is just way too difficult to take down. So putting most of your attention onto Empire and just trying to avoid Eritros at all costs. Avoid the Shadow Furies, avoid the Chaos Bolts, avoid the Fears is the name of the game for Change My Mind.
Yeah, most certainly. Finally, pressure here for Change My Mind, going after Empire. Crowd control secured onto Leanne, but Empire already in a great position far away from Acro, and Eritros once again taking good control of the enemy team while his healer is crowd controlled. So as I said earlier on in the day, when you're playing with double spellcaster, so in this case a Warlock and an Elemental Shaman, Empire is the one being attacked. There's a lot of pressure put on you as the member of the team being attacked. So your main priority is to stay alive and position yourself in a spot where your team can assist you and counter pressure. So Empire ran into the middle of the map so his team could deflect them away, then use the gateway to escape to safety on the opposite side of the map. Now if you're the member of the team not being attacked, so in this case Eritros on the Warlock, your main job first and foremost is to do as much damage as you physically possibly can, but also notice the moments when your healer is in crowd control. So right now with that red box next to Minpoike, that is a cheap shot, but now that that red box has disappeared, now a blind, now he uses Trinket to remove that. Whenever there's a red box next to Leanne's frame, it's Eritros' job to then use Fear, Mortal Coil, Spell Lock, Shadow Fury, all of his crowd control in his toolkit to stop Acro and stop Fried Kitty from attacking their targets. So Eritros needs to see those windows, deny the windows, and then look to counter-aggress immediately afterwards. So far they're doing a great job in terms of denial, but their counter-aggression has been lacking.
Leanne actually a little bit behind in mana, and I think that's because Fried Kitty, he is playing the Kleptomania talent to empower his spell steal. It makes it a 30-second long cooldown, but he can remove every single heal over time effect that Leanne has up. So if they get any crowd control on Leanne, they press the spell steal, Kleptomania removes every single one of those heal over time effects, and that becomes very expensive for Leanne to put up all those heal over time effects once again. Minpoike sitting down for a drink. I think he's going to be resetting his mana to full. Fried Kitty traded out one of his ice blocks blocks. And
Big Chaos Bolt. Huge
punished.
throw.
I'm not exactly sure. Did Fried Kitty just trade that out as a crowd control breaker? I'm not sure.
He's throwing the game away right now. Minpoike's caught in a fear. I think he was trying to respect the Chaos Bolt. Erytros ramped up for a massive one, so rather than taking it and maybe dying, he just wanted to ice block and immune it, but he was really healthy there. I'm not sure if it was necessary, and it almost cost his life later on, but now he's trying to counter-aggress, activating that Icy Veins, and with that cooldown activated, you can see Erytros trying to control the battlefield with some fears, now trying to counter-aggress. Since Lian is not in crowd control, there is no box next to his frame. Erytros is focusing more on maximizing his damage and counter-pressuring Change My Mind. Lian now, while Change My Mind are pinned against the pillar, is trying to drink or generate his mana and build a lead there. Good awareness all around by Octogone.
Yeah, definitely, Fried Kitty. That was a scary moment. I'm not exactly sure what he ice blocked, but he will have his third ice block coming up in around 5 minutes once Cold Snap does reset, and he should be feeling pretty healthy with one available. Acro now taking a little bit of pressure, activating his Feint. It's a very low cooldown damage reduction that rogues have. If you time it well enough, you can avoid a lot of damage. Acro now with the Death from Above, Kidney Shot onto Empire, looking for some pressure. That's a talent that Acro is using. It gives him a little bit more mobility in this matchup. You can see him fly into the sky and then take a nosedive right at his target. It's a decently long cooldown, but when it is active, it allows him to stay on target a little bit longer.
Yeah, it definitely does. Lian making a trade here for his Gladiator's Medallion on blind, a typical trade that a healer is going to make, as it is the longest instant crowd control available from the team of Change My Mind, and it lines up perfectly with a 2-minute timer. But as a healer, if you make that trade, what you open yourself up to is a swap. So I'm curious if Change My Mind are going to change targets now and go after Lian in the next attack. It doesn't appear to be the case, as Acro has already committed his Vanish aggressively onto Empire, but now Erytros looks to counter-aggress. Tons of damage as Acro overextends. Cloak of Shadows at very low health, almost going down. Bit of a misplay on the part of Acrolals as he got over-aggressive against Octogone, and that's the counter window that I was talking about. Erytros takes full advantage.
Yeah, excellently done. Good counter pressure by Octogone at 7% dampening. Things are starting to heat up. Minpoike now caught into the fear. Acro really doesn't have too many defensives. He has to be careful now with no Cloak of Shadows, no Vanish. He just committed his Vendetta, but he has to run on it and really not able to capitalize on that offensive cooldown. That's not the position you want to be in. Has Changed My Mind in this matchup. All three members look to retreat. Acro now moving in, gets the Growth Silence onto Empire, trying to make something happen for his team, but stuck in midfield. Erytros has been punishing Change My Mind so much in this matchup so far.
All right, Empire exposed in midfield, taking huge hits, but Lian is able to recover quite effectively. Now at 10% dampening. It is still an evenly fought fight at this point, although a couple close calls for Change My Mind, and indeed dampening a close call like that is going to be a kill. Octogone need to keep a level head here as the newcomers in a newly formed roster, obviously with good experience with Lian there as a BlizzCon competitor, as well as Erytros on that Destruction Warlock. Empire is doing a solid job for his first showing as well. Octogone could be a strong newcomer in the tournament scene. Let's see if they can pull it off here against Change My Mind in the blind pick, where I would have said that Change My Mind actually won the composition advantage, but in terms of pressure, Octogone are all over them.
Yeah, that is true. There is good pressure from Octogone in this matchup. 15% dampening. Ironbark gets connected by Minpoike. If we look at mana, Lian has a slight edge at this point, but Empire is the one that could potentially fall. Acro still all over him. He has the Vendetta available in 27 seconds, but Empire, he still has the Astral Shift. He's just kiting, and if you pay attention to Empire's positioning, basically what he's trying to do is bring Minpoike, bring Fried Kitty, bring Acro into the midfield so Erytros can really tee off with the Chaos Bolts and the Fears. That's the main objective. Just kite in the open, force them to cross the map, but Minpoike, intelligently, he's going to be sitting down for a drink, looking to reset his mana, and if he gets it off, all of a sudden, there's a big mana lead here for Change My Mind.
All right, we see Minpoike caught in crowd control. They can't afford to make any mistakes, but Empire is the one who's taking the brunt of this exchange, most certainly, as Acro goes in to maybe net a kill for his team. He's getting counter-aggressed by the Chaos Bolts. Can Erytros pull off a kill before Empire falls? We're about to find out here. Acro so low on health. Maledict's coming in. Empire gates to safety, but Lian gets caught. He wasn't able to gateway along with Empire. Double Mortal Coil, Lightning Lasso with no trinket. Huge Chaos Bolts in game number 1. barely able to stay alive. Counterspell denies that lightning lasso. Now Acro on the attack. Kidney shot, smoke bomb gets dropped. Huge damage. Mark for death and venom. Tons of pressure. Empire holds on. Gladiator safeguard proccing a shield, allowing Leanne more time to breathe and recover. Erytros out of the fight though in that polymorph. He cannot counter-aggress. Vendetta gets popped, but Acro unable to really dish out a ton of damage just yet.
Yeah, manages to get the re-stealth. Double Garrote, silence. Lightning lasso coming in from Empire. Good backup there by Fried Kitty. Blinks in, gets the counterspell. Acro looking to get aggressive on Empire. There's Ironbark available for Leanne, but that's the last line of defense. Once that fades, change my mind. They might just be able to push Octogone over, especially if they have any crowd control on Leanne. And unfortunately for Octogone, Leanne's way behind on mana. Minpoike sat down once again, got a drink, completely refreshed his entire mana pool. The only pressure point here for Change My Mind is Acro, and I feel like if he plays safe enough, it's going to be really difficult for Octogone to take him down.
Yeah, it will. We see Infernals have landed. Erytros ramping up with that Rain of Fire, trying to get that Supremacy stacked, and a free casted Chaos Bolt. This next Chaos Bolt from Erytros could net a kill if they can't deny it. The Shadow Fury of Minpoike. Erytros needs to get in line of sight. He fears Fried Kitty, hopefully to get him in line of sight, but unfortunate pathing. Erytros' timing with Supremacy is full. This Chaos Bolt could hit huge. Ironbark soaks up the hit as well as that feint. Good reaction by both Acro and Minpoike, denying that Chaos Bolt window. Fried Kitty line of sighting the follow-up Chaos Bolt as well. Both ice blocks now available, deep into dampening. Mana basically even as both these teams will continue swinging. Acro Shadow stepping into the fight. Comet Storm to follow up, but Spell Lock secured on Minpoike, potentially putting him behind. No follow-up. Acro and Fried Kitty look all right. Double Mortal Coil, but he polymorphed the Mortal Coil. Erytros not able to cast any spells off the back of that. Lightning Lasso gets denied. Maledict actually committed here by Fried Kitty over onto Empire. Minpoike crossing center field to initiate a crowd control chain. Can he get the chain? He gets wind sheared by Empire. Good denial on part of Octogone once again.
Yep, Leanne did manage to sneak away and get some mana during that exchange as well, so evening up on mana with Minpoike. Minpoike with the Innervate should be able to keep his team stable. Bash on Acro. Do they have the damage to take him down? Safeguard keeping him alive for now. Cloak of Shadows in the nick of time. That new trinket, Gladiator Safeguard, keeping him alive in those critical moments. Ironbark connected by Minpoike with a triple Shadow Fury coming in from Erytros. Nicely done. The pressure's not over here for Octogone. They're really looking to take down Acro.
Yep, most certainly Acro will be a vulnerability and a liability deep into dampening, as he is the only melee member of this match. If he overextends his positioning, he will be exposed to the spellcasters Erytros and Empire, and he may opt to just play defensive until he has Cloak of Shadows in 1 minute and 30 seconds. I wouldn't even blame him here in the lower bracket as his team faces elimination from the competition. Erytros with Dark Soul active is looking to ramp up his damage. This is a big window, and Acro is disrespecting it. Minpoike tries to buy time with this Ironbark. It may not be enough defense at 40% dampening. Wind shear onto Minpoike's heel. Erytros sets up for a Chaos Bolt with that Dark Soul. Tons of damage. Smoke Bomb denies the follow-up one. Good reaction by Acro, but Leanne gets into the bomb to start healing up Empire. Minpoike tries to get a chain initiated off the back of this bash, but not able to find it. Leanne's now out of crowd control, desperately trying to stabilize Empire here. Vendetta dealing tons of damage at 42% dampening. Empire makes a trade to re-stabilize, but gets cycloned at low health by Minpoike. Both druids basically tapped on mana, but Leanne has actually managed to get into stealth, maybe sneak away and get a drink. Minpoike is looking for him in stealth as well, immediately jumping on that, and now Empire is ultimately getting crushed under the power of Change My Mind in game number 1. Good showing by Octogone, but I can't say that I didn't expect this result.
And with time, all empires do fall. Change My Mind going to be able to take the blind in the first game of the series.
Yeah, and again, every single time when you have that rogue mage pressure, you get the CC chain initiated, you get the kidney shot, Minpoike looks for drinks, and then you keep doing that throughout the match. Eventually, when dampening is around 30-40%, Leanne is just not going to be able to go for those drinks. Minpoike, though, has 60-70% left of his mana bar. He's going to be able to play it very, very aggressively. See a nice spell lock there onto Erytros, followed up by a polymorph on the Dispel. Minpoike clones up Empire, freezing his HP low. Playing that Feral Affinity is going to allow him to re-stealth there, and then of course he's going to chase after Leanne, who has no option but to stay in the open and spam heal. He has dampening and the pressure is so high, and then Minpoike of course managing to sneak in that Cyclone off of the back of that stun, and that's all you need to close out the match.
How do we see the rest of this series going? What do we think the comps are actually going to look like as we do move forward to game number 2?
I think it depends a little bit on the map, but I think we're going to see a big map locked in, something like Tolveron Arena, something like Ashermain's Fall, and then probably, I would say, I actually don't understand. If there is a big map, I want to see Change My Mind just blindly lock in Shadowpriest Mage. I think Shadowpriest Mage is super strong into some of these double wizard comps, and I don't think that there is really anything else that we can see here from Octogone. They have Ellie Mage and they have Lock Ellie, and I think if you lock in Shadowpriest Mage, you have a fair chance against both of those. If you lose, you can take it to a smaller map again, lock in the Rogue Mage again, and then you're good. But Octogone are going to pick Black Rookhold, so Change My Mind are going to blindly lock in Rogue Mage Druid because the map is small. No surprise there.
No surprise there at all. We're going to have to see what Octogone wants to do here, but this may be one of those times where you just get into a matchup where all of a sudden Change My Mind doesn't need to do anything too tricky. They stay with their one composition and just keep on trucking forward, and it maybe even make it all the way to Sunday. Folks, if you are just tuning in right now, only 2 more series left today, both of them going to be elimination matches, and the next one is going to be absolutely key. The last matchup of the day is the 2 top teams in Europe with, I believe it's what, 180 and 240 points already so far. 240 of those points with Method Black, 182 Wildcard Gaming. That next series really can determine not only what we see for this tournament and potentially the grand final, but really what we could see for the rest of the year. It's going to be really key. If we do see Method Black move forward, that's going to put Wildcard Gaming further behind. If not, Wildcard Gaming has a good chance to catch up. These 2 teams are 2 of the squads that have a real shot of playing spoiler. Octogone, a team that we never even said before today. We know a few of the players, but the first time coming together here, 0 points so far. And Change My Mind, a team that has just fallen short of being one of those top teams throughout the year in our first 2 tournaments. 100 points in their back pocket, looking to get a few more, looking to make it to Championship Sunday. They're going to need 2 more wins to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a difficult task ahead of them, but that game number 1 was very convincing for me. Changed My Mind. It felt like they were in the driver's seat. There was a few close calls on Acro for sure, but outside of those few windows of opportunity for Octogone, it really just felt like the game was in full control of Change My Mind.
I think Octogone actually want to play offense. Locking in a small map as a spellcaster cleave is peculiar otherwise. Potentially we see Octogone go all in here on game 2. It would be interesting to see what happens if they go head-to-head with all-out aggression.
Definitely. We'll have to see what their strategy is. In the last game, we really saw Empire kite Acro, Fried Kitty, and Minpoike into the open, which allowed Eritros to actually get some pressure rolling. And I think, once again, that's going to be the name of the game. You just want to allow the Destruction Warlock to get as many casts off. They have a lot of control, a lot of burst damage. The only problem with the Destruction Warlock is you can easily get line of sighted, so Empire just has to make sure he's always having someone from Change My Mind in the open exposed for the Destro Warlock to actually get some damage.
All right, Eritros once again with good defense. Empire with great counter engage, but a counterspell equally matched by Fried Kitty as both teams stabilize through the initial attack from both sides at this point. And it looks to be the case that we're going to play at center pillar. Triple Shadow Fury, Empire lining up a Stormkeeper, but Icy Veins is lined up. They're actually going after Minpoike, maybe trying to catch one of the Druids off guard. With Feral Affinity, you lose out on some damage reduction, and you lose out on Frenzied Regeneration. So Octogone may be looking for that opportunity to take down Minpoike. He's got to be ready for that, because one Lightning Lasso and a Chaos Bolt could be curtains.
Yeah, definitely. Acro's still holding on to that Vendetta. We'll have to see when he decides to really pull the trigger with that. That's the main offensive cooldown that an Assassination Rogue has in this matchup, and it's likely gets paired with a Kidney Shot and the Kleptomania coming in from Fried Kitty, and that's what makes a lot of these setups coming in so devastating. There's Fried Kitty, uses the Kleptomania, full Kidney Shot secured on Empire. Do they use the Vendetta? Exactly what I said. Now Empire forced a Trinket, use the Astral Shift. He's looking to run away. Leanne trying to stabilize his health, but that was a nice clinical setup coming in from Change My Mind. And what ends up happening when those setups consistently land is Octogone falls further and further behind.
Huge hit on Acro. making a trade there in what could have been the final seconds of this second game. Empire and Acro both equally behind now in this fight, and opportunities for both sides. Smoke bomb is available. Acro could make a big play here should he decide to commit it, but it is not necessary as Lian is locked out in Cyclone. But they could smoke bomb at the end of the Cyclone. I'm curious to see if they go all in. Another Cyclone secured. Empire could go down. He tries to gate to safety back in the starting area, and it manages to do so with Eritros getting a couple of conflagrate roots that entrenched in flames. Honor talent paying its weight in gold right now, preventing Acro from reconnecting to his targets. Once again, good defense on the part of Eritros.
Definitely. Empire still managing to stabilize off of that defense. Lian's mana not doing great. Already down to around 50%. Minpoike playing the Feral Affinity finds the Pan Stun onto Lian into a full Cyclone. Now Empire in a lot of trouble. And I think that's one thing we haven't talked about too much is Minpoike getting these restelts, allowing him to stun up Lian into a full Cyclone consistently is allowing Fried Kitty and Acro the setup potential where they can actually get some damage rolling onto Empire. So I like what Minpoike has been doing so far in this matchup. Now Minpoike going down for a drink. I feel like being the all-star of this team so far in this series.
Yeah, most certainly. Octogone locking the small map makes me think they wanted to deny drinks more easily, and that's definitely something they could do in this specific match, but they've actually been the ones behind on mana, and I'm going to attribute that to Acrolal's Assassination Rogue bringing in the wound poison. It brings a mortal wounds effect, which reduces healing by 25%, whereas the team of Octogone don't have access to that same healing reduction, which is costing more mana from Lian because he has to heal through 25% reduction of his healing, which is ultimately costing him a lot of mana. Also changed my mind doing a lot of good hit and runs. And this during this window of opportunity with Infernals down, Acro definitely needs to run. Eritros is trying to set up off the back of a Fear. Shadow Fury, good combo by Eritros. Chaos Bolt connects. Gets deflected by Iron Bark of Minpoike. Now Eritros actually using the Glider's Medallion to hold Acro in place. Beautiful Conflagrate route into the Lightning Lasso. Great combo of crowd control initiated by Octogone, but ultimately gets dropped by Change My Mind. Potentially not. Bash. Acro really disrespecting the damage there. Finally trades the Cloak of Shadows and stays in the fight. And of course, later in the match into deeper dampening. Situation like that is more than likely going to be a kill.
Yeah, definitely. Acro does have his Vanish available, so he does have that safety net if he really needs it. Vendetta, as well as the Smoke Bomb now available, but all three members, actually, Eritros doesn't have his Trinket, but I feel like he's not an optimal target here. Kitty Shot gets dropped out by Acro onto Empire, looking for some damage. Kleptomania as well, but Lian responds with the Iron Bark, exactly what he needs to do. Minpoike getting stopped on his Cyclone as he looks to crowd control Lian. Good denial there by Eritros. Now because of that, Empire should be completely fine. Lian actually triggered out of the blind. Now there's a window of opportunity where they might be able to take down Empire. What we're going to want to see is Minpoike land or re-stealth. If he can re-stealth, move in, get the pounce into Cyclone on Lian with Vendetta used by Acro on Empire, that's definitely a chance for them to close out this game in the next couple of setups.
It would certainly be a window of opportunity for Change My Mind to jump through. Crowd control on Lian. It looks like Empire is going to evenly trade with Acro's Vendetta. I think that is a smart response, however, opens him up to a Smoke Bomb kill. Empire cannot afford to move too far away. The pressure is still mounting. Change My Mind are looking to mount an advance to match point here against Octogone. Empire's looking to make an escape, but gets stunned. There's the Smoke Bomb. Lian is very far away and trying to cross the map, but gets clotheslined by Minpoike. Great crowd control by Minpoike. Acro now has to carry the team with damage. Can Fried Kitty get in line of sight? He's got Frozen Orb. I'm very surprised to not see it already dropped. Frozen Orb. Acro reconnects. Triple Cyclone Chain on Lian. Might not be enough. Empire's managed to kite it out just long enough to stay alive.
Yeah, that was nicely done by Eritros. Got a nice Fear onto Fried Kitty, and unfortunately he wasn't able to get any damage off during that crowd control chain. Unfortunate for Change My Mind. They could have closed out the game right then, right there. Now at 6% dampening, things are starting to heat up. Lian has a mana lead right now over Minpoike. Basically twice the mana. Minpoike's going to have to look for some drinks in this matchup relatively soon if he wants to stabilize his mana.
Yeah, but they picked Blackrock Hold to deny drinks from Minpoike, so if they don't, it would be a little bit of a toss-up. And right now, Minpoike didn't actually get any mana back off that. His team is actually initiating crowd control to try and end the match. So rather than sitting down and drink, he's going to move in and get a Cyclone. Empire isolated once again. He needs 4 more seconds. He's going to use that Demonic Gateway to escape. The Entrenched in Flames Conflagrate route into a Mortal Coil. Good crowd control by Eritros, buying time for Empire to catch a couple of healing surges and start to stabilize. Lian, though, not able to get, now finally reconvening. Lightning Lasso gets counterspelled. Good interrupt by Fried Kitty, allowing Acro to escape safely. Vendetta available for Acro. I'm curious to see if he's going to mix it up, go after a different target, as I believe both Restoration Druids are playing the Feral Affinity. I'm going to double check that right now.
Yeah, definitely good opportunity to take a look at some of the talents. Fried Kitty getting low, getting bursted down into the first ice block. Really good damage there by Empire. I don't think Eritros was really able to help him out too much. Fried Kitty still not topped off, and Poike hasn't found the heals. Finally connecting a huge one. Full blind now onto Leanne. Kidney shot on Empire. Polymorph on Eritros. Beautiful triple crowd control coming in from Change My Mind. Now a sap on Leanne, forcing him to trinket and throw out the Iron Bark. Empire did manage to hold on to his trinket and his Astral Shift, so he has those defensives available for the Icy Veins, rotating up here for Fried Kitty. Now, Octogone has been doing a good job making sure they always have at least one answer for these offensive pushes coming in from Change My Mind.
Yep, good trades on Octogone's part. They've definitely got solid defense, but in order to win a game, you eventually have to find a way to attack and kill your opponents. So even though they're looking impenetrable, if they can't find any opportunities to attack, they're inevitably going to lose. They've got Call Infernals available in 1:42, but now they need to focus on surviving as the Frozen Orb has been placed. The back end of the Vendetta exchange. Eritros is Empire with good coordination there. Shadow Fury into a Thunderstorm. Acro is slowly marching his way back to the fight, biting a Chaos Bolt by Eritros. Mana now in favor of Change My Mind. It's looking good for them here on Blackrock Hold. The small map pick by Octogone is sort of backfiring. Maybe not. Fear into Chaos Bolt. Multiple. I would have liked to maybe seen those casted on Acro with no Cloak of Shadows, but the Mage Fried Kitty is still a better target than no target.
Yeah, definitely. You might as well dump that damage where you can, although it seems like in these matchups so far, Acro really has been the best target for them to go after. They did manage to get an ice block from Fried Kitty, but I think forcing Acro to use his Vanish, use his Cloak of Shadows defensively is a good opportunity for Octogone to limit the offensive capabilities of Change My Mind, especially as we move a little bit later. Full stun on Leanne, gets caught into the pound stun. Is there going to be a follow-up Cyclone? Unfortunately, Minpoike gets denied. Nicely done by Empire once again. He's been playing such a good, solid defense in this matchup. Acro has the Vendetta coming back up. Then Fried Kitty uses the Icy Veins. They need to try to pull something with the Icy Veins cooldown.
Oh.
That'll create a window of opportunity. But a big swap over on Minpoike. Smoke Bomb gets dropped out offensively and defensively. Minpoike keeps himself alive off the back of that Gladiator safeguard. Now Empire still getting low. Full blind on Leanne. Opting not to trinket just yet. Really wants to have Acro commit his Vanish. Acro does. Blind full sap. Empire could be in some trouble. Leanne forced to trinket out. Wants to connect that Iron Bark as soon as possible, but he's playing it a little bit greedy, holding on to it. That 30% dampening, it might be difficult for him to actually top off Empire at this point.
I would have liked to see the Lightning Lasso saved and used on Minpoike. They already got most of his defense. Now with the Call Infernals down, maybe they could have taken him out. Instead, Minpoike just retreats away and looks to sit for a drink. Acro will equivalently exchange his Cloak of Shadows for Minpoike to regenerate mana, but Leanne as well is sitting down for a drink as both teams look to reset their mana pools at 30% dampening. Change My Mind come out ahead, though. The only thing that's going in favor of Octogone is the cooldown management of Minpoike being a bit misplaced and mistimed. I do want to see them attack Minpoike. That Feral Affinity is a risky choice on his part, and if he gets caught for even a second out in the open at 32% dampening, he's definitely going to be taken down. Let's see if Octogone can find that opportunity to open up on him. Minpoike leads the start of this fight with a Rake stun onto Eritros, but no follow-up just yet. Looking to try and crowd control Leanne out of this bash. They do find the Cyclone. Perfect timing here. Counterspell to deny any support from Eritros. Empire on the run, but held in place from Ursul's Vortex. This is well coordinated by the team of Change My Mind as they look to stay on target and close this game out. Eritros stalls it out for a couple seconds. Triple crowd control defense on his part. Empire manages to sneak into the starting room with that Demonic Gateway, utilizing the map quite effectively to stay alive through that kill window.
Yeah, Empire still low. Growth Silence activated by Acro as he looks to close out the game. There's a full kidney shot. Leanne gets Cyclone. He wasn't able to activate the Iron Bark. Empire could just fall. Astral Shift does get used. Gladiator Safeguard as well. That's one of the last lines of defense Empire really has available to him. Ooh. Nice offensive Cyclone coming in from Minpoike. Minpoike's been dominating in this matchup. Leanne tries to shut him down with a bash. Acro assists him with a Growth Silence, as well as a stun over onto Eritros. Eritros with a nice counter onto Minpoike. Minpoike's getting low. Barkskin, Iron Bark, everything has been committed for him to stay alive, as well as his trinket. He's still not out of the woods yet. Acro looking to counter pressure Empire. Leanne has to respond with his Iron Bark. These setups from Octogone onto Minpoike really punishing this offensive play have been the best chance they've had so far in this match to win, but I don't know how much longer Empire can really hold on.
I'm not sure either. He's doing his best here. pinned down at the pillar. Leanne still locked down in crowd control. Empire pre-Ghost Wolf's the setup, but at 41% dampening, he's not nearly going to have enough healing to sustain himself. And Change My Mind look to advance to match point. I thought Empire was going to strike back, but we're going to have to wait for the sequel.
My mind's been made up here. It looks like Change My Mind may just run away with this entire series. How on earth are we going to see them bring it back, Zico?
I really think that what they did here was their best shot. They picked a small map so that they can be aggressive towards Minpoika. When he pushed in there in the end, they had two really close opportunities there where essentially he had to use everything. And I think the big thing is you have to do that before the 2-minute window elapses. Every time the 2 minutes elapses, you have that Gladiator safeguard, and this is the moment right there. You can see Minpoika had to use his trinket, his Iron Bark, his Gladiator safeguard procced as well, and he barely made it out alive there. If you do a setup like that in a minute from now or so, then you really can take him down. But they weren't able to do it. Twice in a row he managed to get away, and that was really their last-ditch effort. At this point, dampening is super high. Leanne, of course, has trinketed the blind. They've managed to get a bash into a polymorph, and at this point, dampening is just going to be way too high for Leanne to recover. Even if he does make it out of that CC chain, it's too deep into the game.
Sid, do you think they can find a new hope?
No way. I'm sorry.
No way.
No.
I like how Zico laughed when literally last week somebody made a Star Wars joke and somebody goes, wait, what movie's that? And Zico goes,
me.
Death Star. And now he laughs at this one. All right, we're going to take a moment here, and the other team that needs to take a moment here is going to be Octogone. They need to figure out what they are going to bring. Otherwise, Change My Mind is going to grab the first 3-0 of the day here and extend it to another game. They're going to have a Warlock. They're going to have a Mage. Will it be enough to get it done?
I think this is actually a decent composition coming in from Octogone. I think with the Frost Mage, we'll have a little bit more control of this matchup. We just need to make sure they're finding damage in the right places. Who does Octogone go after? They could punish Fried Kitty if he's in the open for too long, potentially Acro as well. But I think if Change My Mind can stall out the game long enough, they can eventually take down Eritros quite easily.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be difficult regardless for Octogone. Can they swing this series back in their favor? They need a comeback train, choo-choo, if they want to. Can they press the tickets to get aboard is the question. I'm starting to think that they're not going to be able to. This is looking a little bit desperate, but at least on Tovaron Arena, they've got a lot of open space to work with.
Yep, definitely the biggest map in the pool. Now let's see what happens. Acro and Stealth moving forward. Both of the mages are in visibility right now. They can't see basically anyone on the map. They have to rely on their teammates to tell them where exactly these targets are. And we'll have to see. Saza, he's going to be opening up with the Blizzard midfield. Minpoike behind the pillar. Full sap onto Eritros. Who is Acro going after? Still sitting in blind. It looks like he wants to get a full Garrote Silence onto Saza and Change My Mind. They're going to be actually going after Saza in this matchup. Full blind on Leanne. Ironbark gets connected. The CC chain got broken up. Nicely done. One Maledict gets used by Acro, but I feel like Saza's going to be completely fine during the initial stages of this game.
All right, Eritros trying to line up a ton of damage here early on towards Acro. Good crowd control coordinated by the team of Octogone, pulling some vital defensive cooldowns from the lineup of Change My Mind and forcing them to play defensive at the pillar. Now we need to see that triangle positioning. Eritros on the right, Saz on the left, cornering the team of Change My Mind so at least one spellcaster will freely cast onto the opposing team. Change My Mind decide to dogpile on Eritros, burst him down a bit, and then cyclone him to deny incoming healing. Now Minpoike looks to jump onto the healer Leanne and initiate crowd control of his own, trying to line of sight but not able to squeak out of the corner just in time. Vendetta has now been committed for Acro, but because Minpoike's crowd control was broken up, it's effectively doing nothing.
Yeah, Eritros looking for some Chaos Bolts onto Acro right now as he seems to be the main pressure point. Stuck in midfield, and Eritros is going to have a field day in this particular matchup. Fried Kitty and Minpoike have to do a really good job with Polymorph and Cyclone in order to deny a lot of his incoming damage. So far, Saza has been able to easily survive. I'm curious to see how mana plays out in this matchup. Both mages are going to be having Kleptomania, so what ends up happening? If Fried Kitty decides he wants to use Kleptomania and remove all of Saza's heal over time effects, Saza can then in return take them all back. It's a jackpot Kleptomania double heal over time effect. The one thing I could see Fried Kitty doing is actually using a macro, a cancel aura macro on all those heal over time effects, and then Sazek has no opportunity to take back those heal over time effects.
Definitely be a top-level decision if he's able to execute that. We do see some burst here, but deflected by Aeritros. Aeritros looking to set up maybe for an ice block push. Not able to find it just yet, though. That counterspell denying his devastating damage for a few more seconds. Now Saza on the back foot as Fried Kitty looks to close this series. Temporal Shield, though, bounces Saza back into the fight. Now Fried Kitty exposed in center field, taking heavy fire, having to blink out of line of sight. Leanne repositioning, but Acro now getting blown up as Aeritros and Saza switch their attention to him, and much like the Death Star look to eradicate the team Change My Mind, if anyone is caught out in center field too long, they will basically get erased.
Yep, that sounds about right for a Destruction Warlock and a Frost Mage on this map. They can have a lot of damage available to them. Unfortunately, Empire's not in this matchup, so he won't be able to strike back, really just relying on his teammates in this matchup to get it done. And so far, the composition for Octogone has worked out quite well. But Poike now sitting down for a drink. He's going to be evening out mana, potentially just going to full, and I think both Druids are going completely full mana. Fried Kitty seems to be the one that's in trouble. Infernals get dropped off by Aeritros. Mortal Coil gets cast out as well. Can he find the damage that he needs? But I just feel like Fried Kitty and Acro and Poike, they can so easily line of sight so much of the pressure that Aeritros brings to the table. And if Acro can get consistent restelts in this matchup, he's going to be able to set up for his team. And I actually want them to start punishing Aeritros if he's just marching in behind the pillar like this. Just put some pressure on him. Although he doesn't necessarily take the most damage, you can still take him down if you can remove every single one of the heal over time effects and get good crowd control on Leanne.
Leanne locked down in the polymorph. He predicted this and activated Iron Bark, but its defense has now faded. Aeritros could crack here on match point. Change My Mind, look to 3-0 Octogone. Aeritros doing everything he can, repositioning to the gateway, getting cycloned at low health. Poike definitely on fire in this tournament. Ursul's Vortex placed down to try and finish the job. Smoke Bomb catches Aeritros, huge damage, perfect execution. Immaculate crowd control. Change My Mind, stay alive in the lower bracket.
And they are going to be able to close it out in just 3 games, something that we haven't seen yet today until right now. And ultimately, you do have to say as well that Octogone did play very well. This is one of the first times that we see them make it this far, but they will not be able to make it all the way to Sunday. Zico, why?
Well, I think that it comes down to what we've been talking about in the meta. If you have only wizard comps or only cleave comps, it's not that great to work with, and that's what it comes down to. You need to have both, honestly, in this meta, and it's just expertly done here by Change My Mind. They get the nice bash into polymorph, they get the re as well, and then Poike doesn't get stopped on that follow-up cyclone as well. Also, really nice that Poike is playing the Moonkin affinity. They managed to, of course, cyclone Aeritros up on low HP, and Fried Kitty is looking for that burst. He gets a nice smoke bomb there as well from Acro. It's just flawless rogue mage. They don't even, usually you see this happen after they trade out the blind, but here they're gonna initiate that crowd control before they even get the blind. And of course you might wonder why Leanne didn't trinket, and that is of course because of the threat of that blind. If you trinket out of the initial polymorph, then in about 20 seconds later they're gonna have a window on the side of Change My Mind where they can blind you, sap you, and win the game that way. And it's pretty much impossible to stop a blind sap compared to a bash polymorph.
Definitely something that you do have to think about, but the other thing that we need to be thinking about is the last matchup of the day, and it feels like the grand finals have come a little bit early. Method Black against Wildcard Gaming. These are the two teams that have #1 and #2 in EU, and we haven't even made it to Sunday yet, so whoever does grab this puts themselves in the position to be able to seize the throne.